So far, he's been banned once and lost 3 times in a row in the last 3 games. So is he once again going to have the same amount of priority? Was he just on the wrong side of the map in a composition that didn't necessarily suit him?
And were Afreeca Freecs on the wrong side of the map when they chose blue side in game number 4, their final side selection. They chose blue, thinking that Griffin were right to be picked. That was not correct, and in the end, Griffin has side selection in the final game because they come in as a higher seed. They will ban away the Aatrox, so no first pick Aatrox like there was in game number 1 multiple hours ago. We're 4 hours into this series. Naturally, fatigue starting to be met by these players, but they've played long scrim blocks, they've played long solo queue times.
They've played here in the LCK where we've had gigantic days, as finally the Olaf is going to be banned.
And that is the adjustment. Looking at the bans, last game, Ryze, Tahm Kench, Morgana on blue side, Aatrox, Rakan, Shen. On red side, we have the Taliyah banned as a response, which is intriguing. Spirit hasn't shown any priority to it recently. Afreeca Freecs have a lot of players with a lot of pocket champions. The Evelynn is always one that's around the corner when you play it as much as Spirit does in solo queue.
Well, the Taliyah ban is definitely a response to the Olaf. Griffin considering the fact that there is no other pick into that particular pick is, alright, we're angling for a Tahm Kench on the side of the Afreeca Freecs.
Soraka is the range support that slams Tahm Kench, and we've seen this man on your screen, Viper, do it a few times. So you have to actually already think forward to, well, what does Afreeca want then? If they're already trying to set up for a Tahm Kench answering ban, something like a Varus is very, very high priority. We know about that. Always the chance that something else will slip through, like the Shen.
Well, the Shen or the Tahm Kench are going to make it in, and Rakan is going to be taken away here. So Afreeca get to decide whether it's Tahm Kench, whether it's Shen, but both teams are going to be able to get one of them. It is going to be the Catfish that Afreeca are going to opt into, but with the bans being as weird as they are, a lot of things have gotten through. So Griffin could just lock away Varus Shen on this rotation and be very happy.
They could, but the cost is Tahm Kench, which on the one hand might be small, but given what we've seen in Korea on patch 8.14 onwards, where Tahm Kench has been first pick, first ban the entire time, 1-3-1 play, which again we've said has been the dominant meta in Korea, is made so much cleaner with a champion like Tahm Kench, and he does well in the Shen matchup when it comes to Shen as an answering pick, but because it's Lehends, leaving the Shen up is going to be something surprising to see. The Braum is the better matchup in terms of the laning phase and what it provides, and they will go Braum over Shen.
Okay, now Tarzan, what is he going to lock away? You'd expect an AD carry, but there are still so many things available, and when it's Tahm Kench, you think about all sorts of different options. The Ashe almost has to be the pickup here, but now Afreeca have so much flexibility.
If you give over Ashe Tahm Kench, that's the god tier duo in Korea, so they don't want to give that over. Already mentioned Spirit and the Evelynn. I don't know if that's going to be a first round pick. That'd be a bit insane, but definitely
that sounds
one.
like something Spirit would do.
He has played an amazing amount of Evelynn. The stat when he came back into the lineup was that he had played over the course of 1 week 90 games of solo queue Evelynn and Challenger. But he's going to jump onto the Predator Gragas, so going with a standby. Braum Unbreakable, very good.
Extremely
against
strong.
The Explosive Cask, so you're seeing what they were able to piece away. They did give open the Varus, if that's what Afreeca Freecs want.
Well, looks like it certainly is. Both of the archers are going to be picked up by both teams. 2 seconds to go before that one is locked in, but bit of a no-brainer here for Kramer.
Do
now,
yourself
Trophy, what does he
counterpick yourself a little bit and get a Trundle? For the 11-0 Trundle on the side of Tarzan. It's not a great matchup compositionally, but you're thinking of the champions you'd want here. It's something like a Kindred or a Trundle. Neither of them do particularly well against the Gragas. The Gragas Sin is a winning matchup into Trundle, but because it's Tarzan's Trundle, I think that's why they take it. I think you go for the 11-0, you go for something he's so strong on, and they will take the Trundle after all.
They're going to pick that one up, and Spirit did actually look decent on it despite losing in game number 4. So now Griffin with their jungle and bottom lane locked in. That is confirmed. Afreeca exactly the same. We'll see where the bans are going to go as we go into our second round of them. They're going to have that first pick availability.
We know how this is going, right? They're blind picking a top laner, and we're interested to see what Griffin is last picking in terms of top lane. That does interesting things about bans because...
Oh no! Keen really wanted to play Cannon.
Yeah, he's depressed now. He's like, oh, but that was my champion. Do you ban Jace here? As potentially a winning matchup that Sword plays into a lot of the blind pick top laners. What do you think about the Gnar? Depending on where the champion pool gets stretched to, you do ban the Jace because that's the one last pick from Sword that he's shown he can play. He's 4-0 Jace this season.
Yeah, the Jace is absolutely fantastic. Certainly allows Sword to be a very different player. Just don't let him hop on the Cho'Gath. Let him play these crazy power picks, and he's not going to let Keen play the Quinn. We were wondering about the blind pick.
I would say it was 90% sure he was going to blind pick Quinn because that just seems like what you do, right? In this clutch game, in this must-win game, you blind pick Quinn. I was already on champion.gg seeing what was working in solo queue. Turns out Pantheon and Garen could have been coming out. Who knows?
Hey.
Into that Quinn. Not going to be seeing it. And now we're getting real personal. This is definitely some directed jabs at both Sword and Keen for top lane bans in the final round. Are you safe to pick the Cho'Gath, or are you still last picking for top lane is the question Griffin must answer.
I feel like there's still so many picks that Keen can go towards, and Sword can go back to a tried and true favorite here in the Gnar.
Is it safe yet? Is the question we can't know. The Quinn is gone, the Kennen is gone, but there are still so many picks you can run into Gnar if you're feeling it. Cho'Gath is a bit of the defeatist, but also potentially can win lane with enough ganks pick. Afreeca Freecs looking for soul lanes, but Kuro could also be on that mid lane Varus.
Yeah. What is he going to be blind picking here? The Zoe certainly going to be the option, but Chovy can go towards the Yasuo pretty comfortably with this composition. A lot of different knock-up synergies to be available, and the Yasuo is a good matchup.
This is one we're interested in, though. We're interested in Keen's pick. This is the one that could make or break the game. They've won this series from Keen's counter picks. You don't have Jace, you don't have Quinn, you don't have Kennen.
You've got Camille. Camille's an available one.
And
the Gangplank there as well.
He's going Yasuo top.
We're doing it.
Of course you are.
The Yasuo denial and the counter pick. It's perfect.
But that's why those picks you're mentioning do things, but they don't hard win top lane. They've won their matches through hard winning top lane. This matchup may not be what it once was, but it's still a decent one for the Yasuo top. Cool to see in this must-win game. Reminds me of Huni running it in must-wins games last year. Griffin here, final pick of the draft, mid lane into the Zoe. It's gonna be the Orianna.
Oh no.
They're gonna go for it. It's not necessarily been a consistently winning one. The win wall can do dirty things, even though the win wall's in a different lane when it comes to those team fights. Galio open, other picks open, ends up being Chovy on the Orianna at the last.
Yeah, the last pick, top lane Yasuo, has been dangerous. It's been very dangerous for a lot of teams. This time around, though, it looks like a stroke of genius because Spirit already set up with that body slam. If they didn't pick it up, there was almost 100% chance that Griffin were going to do it themselves. You could see the look on Chovy's face. He looked like someone had taken away his lollipop and wasn't giving it back. Well, that might actually spell the end of their time in the playoffs if Afreeca can utilize their compositional advantage that they built for themselves.
And it feels like Afreeca's going to be very predictable. Get level 6 on Gragas, throw it topside, eventually kill the Gnar. Because if you can set up a scenario where...
Afreeca Freecs fans certainly in full voice. They are looking like the draft went in their favor. It's the feeling that we're getting after this one. But Griffin, I mean, we had that feeling in game number 1. Griffin was still able to turn around that one as well. What can they do this time around? Backs against the wall. It's once again the Orianna. Is it going to be a 0-0 scoreline once again for Chovy as the Nexus falls down, or is it going to be a different one this time?
Real chance it'll become a game of once-agains, but it's also a game of adjustments. Look at the top lane. Sword has gone Grasp on the Gnar, just to find a bit more safety in the trade. There's a lot of Grasp Swain, some Grasp Orianna around the world in trickier matchups. One of the answering picks into Akali is Grasp Swain in the mid lane, just because you can poke when she uses Shroud and also get those decent trades in earlier with the auto attacks. So, a little adjustment there from Sword. It's a matchup that used to be pretty heavily one-sided for Yasuo many years ago. We're talking 2015. And then from there, little adjustments to Yasuo's kit kind of brought him crashing down to earth a little bit when it comes to base health nerfs and little things like that. I feel like it is back to being pretty damn good for the Yasuo, but it is range versus melee, and it's Tarzan on his 11-0 Trundle We mentioned what Afreeca want to do. It seems pretty clear-cut. Maybe an early gank bot lane, but yet largely, let's get the Yasuo 3 kills and ahead in the build. Tarzan knows that as well, and his pathing on the Trundle has previously been best in class. So let's see what he can make happen as we get a reminder of a game where I said a naughty word. This was a 70-minute game where So1 ended up on the winning side of the Yasuo versus Gnar matchup.
I think there were a bit of yakety sacks being played in that
particular
series
some
as well.
colorful yakety
correctly.
sacks, that's right.
That is very, very true. Good times. Good times. We'll see whether Keeney is going to be able to navigate this matchup as well as So1 did in the previous matchup as well. So far, 4-1 in favor of the Yasuo. So it is considered a counter pick here in the LCK.
Now, while it says 4-1 and while it says win, Jin were way behind in that lane, but it just dragged on so long that there were just some comical team fights that perhaps, you know, caused me to use some colorful language.
Yeah.
That was a very unique circumstance. The Yasuo didn't hard win lane or anything like that. I think Yasuo will need some babying to get to the better parts of the laning phase post kind of Berserker Greaves and the Phantom Dance.
Well, you can see Spirit starting on the bottom side means that he will be able to at least be in position if Sword is going to go overly aggressive. Sword, knowing that, is not going to be pushing any further forward in this lane. Tarzan, though, this is the champion that he knows how to path on, the champion that he knows how to control a game on. So far, he's just farming things out. It's pretty normal here on the Rift at this point in time, but it's where Tarzan puts himself in the early game that has been very impressive. So far, going for a level 3 gank bottom side.
Tahm Kench is the one you always want to try to trap as the Trundle. Common red side tactic is to, or blue side tactic I should say, is red buff into level 2 gank and then kill the Tahm Kench later. Here we go.
Well, Lahen's going to jump forward. Now going to be able to get the pillar here onto Tucson, but Viper, will he be able to get the stun? Grey Health is activated, but just going to get a lot of damage back into their faces from Kramer and not going to get too much for it there on the side of Griffin.
Lane positioning made that really tricky. Still 2 health potions and Biscuiteer on Tahm Kench. This is 8-15, where you don't get the 3 health potions at level 1 anymore, but need to be further up the lane to make a play like that happen on the Trundle. So just a bit of damage trading and backing away.
But that mid lane is also trading a whole bunch of damage here as well, as Kuro's going to stop his back. Chovy just trying to collect the minion wave and find out where the Zoe has gone.
Trundle is pathing topside. Check the Krugs and make sure the Gragas Predator gank doesn't happen. Gonna be spotted very shortly. Very standard pathing from Tarzan. Both teams know exactly what's going on topside.
Yep, Tarzan also understanding because the Krugs are going to be walking back as well. Going to be able to at least take them down, but a lot of the money does go over to Spirit first off.
And because they were just leashed, you also know that the enemy isn't, say, camping a lane brush or ready to gank instantly onto the Gnar. You know that he's just been moving away from the Krugs, so you have kind of an intermediate level of knowledge about exactly where the Gragas is, so meant that there didn't need to be any real pull away from Sword on the top side.
Yeah. Great part of it, though, was the fact that Spirit was able to get so much deep vision here. He's going to lose his control ward, but a couple of trinket wards in the topside jungle of Griffin just to try and keep tabs on Tarzan. What do we talk about? Tarzan's positioning around this stage of the game especially has been so beautiful to watch on the Trundle. So keeping tabs on him has all of a sudden become extremely important.
Another double Dark Seal build coming through from Chovy. Get ignited as a bit of harass coming through from Kuro. That's not his real ignite.
Very frustrating.
He pilfered that one.
He did.
Tarzan's top side. So much of this game is what the state of this top lane is. If Yasuo is beating Gnar, then in the mid lane, Orianna and Ashe are safe wave clearing, but the enemy team can be so safe. If the Yasuo is losing, then even though Afreeca Freecs would love to have Kuro and Kramer sieging in mid lane together and Tahm Kench to disengage, there's the chance that Gnar is flank teleporting you, and also there's strong engage from Griffin. So given how much of a seesaw game this is around the 1 for the 4-1, feels like so many different people are going to rotate top, and the cost of one of those ganks either going super well or super badly could be series ending, and thus playoffs ending for Sword or Keen.
Both of these comps playing towards 4-1 as well, so like you say, you can understand why that top lane is such a priority. As Spirit, the Predator, is on here as he's looking for Chovy. The flash immediately comes in, and it's going to be traded, actually. It's a good shockwave from Chovy to make sure that Spirit can't be body slam flash ganking anyone.
Saw the blue pings afterwards. Of course, in hindsight, if Tarzan wasn't there, it's a waste of flash, but not knowing that at a precise moment, in a must-win best-of-1, they get the trade there. That's why Tarzan walks up, but he's under-leveled.
Still looking to try and smite steal this one away. The combo damage from Spirit is, of course,
Spirit got
going to be enough. Yep, steals away the red buff, theoretically. Is the flash actually going to be invested because the teleport is coming down from Kane, trying to set himself up for this fight, but no one on the Afreeca Freecs are actually here, so can't commit to it.
Looked like a bad flash. Was actually a very inspired one because they were being pincered from bot side. Ashe and Braum weren't going to be able to get there first and being flanked teleported on. So if Tarzan knew if he didn't flash, he would die to somebody. They were able to pull away. There was no level 6 on the bot sides. There was no Abyssal Voyage to get Afreeca there instantly. But it would have been fast enough. They would have been taken down. Safety first, the call from so many members. Result of all those trades is bit of an atrocity when it comes to summon a spell cooldowns on those flashes.
That's very true. So a lot of those buttons now on cooldown on the side of Griffin. Only one of them on Spirit on the side of the Afreeca Freecs. So in this early game means that Afreeca have a slight lead when it comes to gold, but we're looking towards that top lane. We're looking towards what Sword can do to try and hold down the Yasuo. Afreeca Freecs as well. They want to try and snowball him forward, get themselves into the right position as I love when he uses the Q and then immediately dashes with the Q out.
It's been Sword's life. Almost every game it's been boots to double Dorans and then just a Kindle gem for, well, I hate my life. I got, counterpicked again. Enemy jungle's topside again. That's just the reality Sword has had to put out fires where possible, and Kane has been the match winner in the 2 games that Afreeca have won, so it's been pretty even between the two. More unenviable side of Sword, because everyone loves to counterpick. Being counterpicked on, losing the minimum, and now losing the blue buff. Oh, that's a bad feel.
It feels real bad for Chovy. That's it's not good news. But, at least Tarzan's going to have more pillars available. Griffin are going to start this one up. Tucson is going to get stunned. Immediately cleanses. The ultimate from the hands is going to predict the flash coming out from Tucson is now Kramer. Oh, that auto attack so incredibly long range. Tarzan, a couple more autos. The flash from Kramer grabs the first blood. Viper stuns him up. Gets the kill to answer it back. Is the extra money from First Blood enough? I'm not entirely sure because there's no teleport and he loses a full wave.
Flashing in, ends up being the 1-for-1. Can they kill Tucson as well? They cannot.
Yeah, Winter Spike gonna land, but it means that the minion wave makes it under the turret, and that's the big deal. Spirit, though, wants to get it, gets the body slam in there. Okay, just throws it into the Unbreakable. Lahen's able to get out of the way with that one. And Afreeca Freecs unable to get any more. Still 1-for-1.
That's really important that Griffin don't lose a member there. I say, if you run that 10 times, one person at least dies 8 out of the times. It was very unlikely for them to be able to get away. But between the flash from Viper and in the end, the evasive play there, Spirit can't get the bounce, they can't get the kill, and they can't truly punish the 1-for-1.
Kramer going to pick up the wave in the mid lane instead. Thankfully, with Kuro down there, they don't miss out on too much of the experience, but certainly Griffin able to win there just a little bit as Tarzan looking for a Cloud Drake. 10 minutes into this game is going to be where the first Drake is taken.
Kuro was bot lane and out of mana. So this actually ends up being a free Cloud Drake, even though they actually had a ward disadvantage bot side for the longest time. Nice opportunistic stuff from Tarzan. His bread and butter when he's playing the Trundle. Trundle really is a sum of your pathing. If you're pathing ahead, if you're there for the counter gank, if you blow the flash early and they're there with the pillar, you can do a lot. Otherwise, if summoners are up, you do so little. Tarzan 11-0 on the Trundle. Nice little move to get Griffin an early objective.
Yeah, picks that one up for himself. However, Spirit's been able to get around the map a little bit more. Has picked up a few more of these camps. Of course, naturally has a bit more wave clear in the barrels and the body slams and everything doing a bit more AoE. So we take a look in at what Keen's been able to put together. 102 is going to be the CS, only a couple ahead of what Sword's done. So it looks like Grasp of the Undying has worked out here for the Narn.
Don't think we can really call a Yasuo lane pre-Phantom Dancer, though, unless Yasuo is the one feeding. If it's just even and Yasuo is farming up CS for CS early game, that's also a bit of a victory, because Yasuo on the top lane, perennially gankable, as we all know.
True.
So it's gone very decently for Keen. He goes back. He's got some nice items to open up. Double Dorans and also the Phantom Dancer. We'll call this lane a little bit later because if it ends up being Gnar can't visit top lane territory, then Yasuo is going to be oh so happy.
Right now, Chovy, see whether he can answer the potential explosive cast. In fact, Spirit going to hold on to that button. Gets himself safely underneath the turret, thankfully with Dissonance. Gives himself the movement speed to be okay. At least he's being able to continue being safe as the Orianna. So far this series, even in the game they lost, he was still able to stay safe. He's landed the shockwave as well. I mean, if you call getting a flash landing an ultimate, I say it is. That's probably worth.
To me, the difference between the two comps is that Afreeca's comp has more linear turn-on times. The moment that you see a couple more items on Keen, whether it's an Infinity Edge or a second item, he runs at Gnar, and Gnar really can't do too much to answer him in a side lane without help, and that influences the game state everywhere else. Because right now, the game state everywhere else is super even between the two sides. Small farm lead in mid lane and bot lane, small farm lead in the jungle for Afreeca Freecs. Both teams really happy to go mid lane and siege or play as a four-man group. Griffin have the more reliable engage, but Afreeca have good engage as well. So given all of that, you feel like Afreeca is closer and closer to actually being able to find a lead in the game, but we're just waiting for a flare point, a super play, something around the map to influence the natural tendency of the Yasuo versus Gnar matchup.
And who's going to make that first move is the real question here. Who has the ability to do so and when is the right time? Right now, Spirit, he's the one that's been more aggressively looking for the opportunities. So far, it's been Chovy, it's been under the knife. We'll see whether he heads top lane, tries to deal with Sword now that Keen does have that aforementioned Phantom Dancer.
Control ward going to give a bit of a vision advantage. And no counter gank can happen in mid. In fact, there's so many control wards around mid for the side of Afreeca. No map control at all for Griffin. So impressive that Chovy has pretty good CS.
Yeah, he's hasn't necessarily been in the best position when it comes to vision.
They've had no river control, and they haven't lost any turrets, and they got the only Drake in the game. It does seem like eventually the sins of the lack of vision control will be felt somewhere. It's going to be the bot lane out of turret, losing your turret first to Tahm Kench Varus. A real bad feel. We'll see if Afreeca can open up the map with the Tahm Kench ultimate on the back of this.
Yeah. Side lane turret as well going down. Statistics for both of these teams pretty damn good if bottom lane outer turret is first turret blood for any of them. Griffin have been all about bucking trends so far this series.
Be desperate to stop the Rift Herald going down. That's one objective they really can't afford to lose, because then the game will speed up very quickly. Mid lane turret goes down, and Chovy doesn't even have two items at the time.
Yep, Sword wandering over there. Like you were saying, lots of pings coming in from the Afreeca Freecs. It's Keen just letting them know. Gentleman Gnar hanging out. Tarzan in position now as well. The back going to come in from Lehens, can switch over to teleport, I believe. If he feels like it, decides to cancel as Tucson turns up to lend Kuro a hand.
Usually in these scenarios where laners are trying to lose the minimum counter to already losing a turret, someone has to lose out on CS for Lehens to be chilling around mid. Timings here can be very particular. It's very hard to stem the bleeding, especially against a global ultimate Tahm Kench and a pick-initiating CC 80 carry like Varus.
Viper also has that opportunity as well, as Paddlestar not actually going to do anything here as Griffin starting the siege with 4 members here in the mid lane. Thankfully, for Afreeca Freecs fans, certainly a lot of wave clear available.
Orianna and Ashe are in the same lane, so cost of making that play is the minions aren't going the way of the Ashe and the Orianna at the same time. Chovy.
Shockwave once again going to be utilized here. Now just solo onto Kuro, who wanders away. Chovy not going to go overly aggressive because once we said already the vision not available, so couldn't continue forward.
And chunking out someone, even though there's no kill pressure, is still a valid thing to do. It's at the same time as Rift Herald is being started by the Afreeca Freecs. It is going to be spotted, I believe, by the Ashe Hawkshot. Still half health. Varus and Tahm Kench mid lane. What happens next?
Yeah, lots of pings coming in here, and the reason why Spirit pulls away is because Kuro did have to go back to base. So successfully chunking out the Zoe as Kramer clears out that vision. Have the waves pushing a little bit further are the Afreeca Freecs, meaning that they will have control over that Rift Herald area for a little bit longer. You can see control vision still there, because Griffin need to be able to pick up this farm as Tarzan back going to be stopped, and every bit of tempo that they can gather for themselves is good news here for the Afreeca Freecs.
Control wards need to be cemented by Griffin right now. 2 control wards just to not have their mid lane dived or their bot laner be denied farm around the inner turret. Vision control been there for Afreeca. Still no aggressive Abyssal Voyage plays. Those have been a bit slower. Keen farming out topside forever could just mean 2-item Yasuo very, very early into the game. We never saw the jungler intervention in the end. But overall, we already mentioned that Yasuo just hits item points that Gnar in the 1v1 won't be able to answer.
Right now, Lahen's going to get vision into this Rift Herald pit. Spirit going to be the only smite available in this area as Sword. Great position on the Narbar as Spirit locks down the Rift Herald. Chains of Corruption go wide. Lahen's going to survive this as Sword heads back towards the top side of the map. That's exactly the buff they didn't want. Okay, Devour going to be used by Tucson, but immediately Tarzan's there. Tucson takes about half of his health bar as well, but thankfully it's a Tahm Kench on the map here for Kramer. Otherwise, I have a feeling he was dead.
A little bit trigger happy from Lahen's on the Glacial Fissure. There just wasn't any follow-up damage to be able to dive in there. Ashe is not there. The Orianna had already used Shockwave, so not sure about that one. Bit of a cooldown trade. Top side, are we getting to that point yet, we wonder?
There's going to be still Wind Wall being very, very useful in the matchup. So we're not going to see the 1v1 happen because Kane decided to disengage. Spirit looking to try and take away this Cloud Drake, second one of the game. Being considered here by Griffin, and they will be able to take it. Tarzan has the smite button available to him. And Spirit decided that he did not want to try and contest.
Bit of a thanks for the leash moment. In all of this action, talking about the scalings and things, we should remember it's once again going to be AP Predator Gragas coming through from Spirit. He usually goes tank second item, but with less items, the Trundle's going to have more of a role in team fights than the enemy Gragas, more sticking power because he can poke in, ult someone, and stay alive. We're seeing the Rift Herald summon in mid lane. The charge is not going to kill the turret, but the reinforcements are here.
Well, Shelly is going to at least be able to get that first charge. About half the health bar now left remaining on that outer turret, but Griffin have set themselves up. They will be able to take that one down. They're at all of the minions, and it just gets that amount of damage, not necessarily anything more. Afreeca still looking for their opening. Right now, they have close to a 2,000 gold lead, things still in their favor.
Ashe on a shopping trip. Kramer, 2.5 items already. Pushing forward, and Trundle can only do so much.
Yep. This outer turret being charged at here by the Varus. Chains of Corruption to get a land, but in comes Jovi, wants the Shockwave. Just going to pull in the Tahm Kench, as Tucson does have great health available as well. Sword charging up the Narbar. The flash comes in. Special delivery of a potential Mega Gnar, but no. Griffin don't pull any extra triggers. I was expecting a potential flash Gnar to immediately come out, but nope. Afreeca Freecs don't have to worry too much.
So many little things play into that moment. They knew the enemy was on blue buff. That's why they were happy to push up and get the turret. Couldn't quite get it, but now Griffin pushing up 5-man.
Yeah, Kane actually walking around a whole lot of spells, but finally does take a lot of damage. Griffin's turn, not able to get the turret down either. Both teams now with slivers on their outer mid lane turrets.
Of course, no turrets claimed yet by Griffin this game, but the 2 Drakes. A surprise given how much control Afreeca had. They were about back timers from Afreeca. Griffin were off getting the blue buff and spotted on the ward to the right of the mid lane turret from our perspective. And that meant there was that window to walk up, try and punish. They couldn't kill the Trundle. Couldn't get either turret, but standing gold in the mid lane is there for both Griffin and Afreeca Freecs.
Well, looks like it's here top lane as well as Kuro on the Zoe. Just at least shove a minion wave towards it. Answered by Viper, who has teleport. He can be anywhere he wants to, which is why him and Sword are in side lanes. Kobe and Lahen's shoving the wave in. Once again, only a few more autos from almost anyone. These mid lane outer turrets are going to go, so Afreeca Freecs and Griffin always need to have someone there waiting to catch these waves.
And that's all become a little bit easier for Griffin, because if you take your eyes to the minimap, the vision game is no longer everywhere is Afreeca's. Griffin is face checking at every moment. They have a lot more river vision to actually be able to cut across the map and make things a bit predictable. Doesn't mean they're in the ascendancy in side lanes, but it means they're not losing out on minions like they were earlier in the game.
Well, right now you can see Keen respecting Sword a whole lot underneath this turret. Mega Gnar is going to come in as now Keen finally able to move up and take down some of these.
Keen is not a relentless split pusher, he's a smart player, so when he doesn't see the enemy jungler or any of the enemy players on vision, he doesn't walk up for fear of being dived. Again, that's a result of the evolving control ward and vision line because he doesn't just know where every member of Griffin is at every moment and know when to go aggressive. Here we go, special delivery.
Yeah, but vision was available. Kuro still going to get hit. Tucson dodges out of the way of the ultimate, but they managed to get the turret. That is going to be the main thing here for Griffin. Trade a couple of ultimates just to grab themselves that outer.
Call that one worth, though. They do get it. The Gragas ultimate is down, which means Yasuo doesn't have the same threat when he walks up to try to be involved in this play. And speaking of Yasuo, he's here.
Yeah, the rest of the Afreeca Freecs as well are all here. 5 members set up. Battlestar is going to land onto Tarzan as the Trouble Bubble lands onto Lehens. But the minions dealt with very quickly. Thanks, Oriana. The outer turret remains up.
No Gragas ult there, really consequential because they can't hard force Gragas because he can be instantly combo. Could be big as sword. He's got ult soon.
Yeah. Flash onto Tucson. He doesn't have his flash available, and that's going to be
Sword.
Chovy grabbing that kill. Keen has to flash to get out of the way after the Gnar. Not going to get too much more, but Griffin, they're ready to take names here in this game.
They definitely are. They turn on in an instant. Sword walking up again. Not going to get a Mega Gnar successfully, but they're walking up for this inner Titan. Keen.
Yeah. Dodges out of the way of the Shockwave and the Wallop coming in from Sword, but still the pressure available here from Griffin. Spirit, he's popped the Predator, looking to try and go aggressive as Varus is top lane and Kramer is continuing to shove things forward. Spirit, rough positioning there of the pillar means that the Gragas is going to remain safe. Afreeca Freecs continuing to keep pressure on here because they know that they can buy space for Kramer to continue just pummeling these structures. Tarzan will be the first to turn up and respond, but Afreeca Freecs still looking to stop backs.
And Griffin are more about piling on at this point. After Yasuo was out of the fight, they were happy to make plays. Kuro flashes. That was a counterfeit flash.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure there, but wasn't able to get the kill. This should finally be the mid lane outer turret. Griffin have delayed it for about 7 to 10 minutes. Remember, the first turret went down at 13 minutes into the game. Desperately here, 28 HP. It won't actually go down.
Nope.
Oh boy, okay.
Lehens Unbreakable is pretty damn strong when it comes to denying the auto attacks of the caster minions, which are the most important ones, is the arrow flies on majestically off the edge of the screen.
Where do you think that was going?
To infinity and beyond. Pop Smithy?
Was it Bilgewater? Was it, no?
Oh, I think that was a Zorn. That was a bit of a, that was a Zorn trajectory.
That makes sense.
That's what I saw.
I'm not that good at, reading sundials and things like that, so I defer to you on your Ash arrow trajectories.
I'm the compass guy. Compass guy. Yeah, that was where Viper really wanted to send it. Confusing, given the fact that Ash is certainly not Zorn. That's fine.
Ash herself is certainly not at Infernal Drake, which is something that Griffin haven't revealed just yet.
There's a Shirley's Revelry on Spirit. He can run really, really fast. Bro. To get any work done here with his Proto Belt. Tucson says no as he picks him up, throws him back. Tarzan as well in the wrong position. Is God! Kramer has so much damage, just eats through the health bar of Sword in an instant. Now Griffin, they're on the back foot. They're going to have to get out of the way of this one as Chovy not able to pick up the Drake. It goes to Kramer, which is a little bit worrying for Afreeca Freecs fans. Or Spirit fans in particular, but they should now be able to get that one auto on this turret. Kuro is going to be the one that does that. All too easy. Afreeca Freecs back again in control of this game.
Smite being held on to. The Baron threat always there, but Sword has his teleport available when he respawns in about 10 seconds. Chovy going to be forced out. Again, so close to this being game breakers, but it only ends up being a single pick. Griffin kind of feign offense when they don't have Ash in position. They knew the Ash arrow was on cooldown as well to the Afreeca Freecs, so happy to walk up. Zoe patrolling the flank means it's a bit of a freebie. Shirelia's Gragas, like you mentioned, is not the Proto Belt or the full tank that we talked about before. So, honestly, what does he want to do? He wants to flash Predator Shirelia's his way to a last breath on 5 members.
Yep, and I think that should be something that he'd be able to do. And if Spirit's done anything so far these playoffs, he's gained everyone's trust. Because, man, his Lee Sin earlier on in this series, the rest of his performance is the first time he pulled out the Predator Gragas. Made it look like everyone should have been taking that Keystone. Continuing to do so here today. Even his Trundle performance in the games that they lost. It looked good.
You worry for the side of Griffin is this game going to be in a even state when Infinity Edge is completed on Keen? Because he's almost there. He's gone for Sterix so he can shrug off a bit of burst in team fights, and there's plenty of Wombo on the side of Griffin. But then Infinity Edge is when, either you kill him in the burst or he kites around with a Z and kills everyone. There's definitely the chance Yasuo solo carries the fight. People will say 0-0-0 Yasuo, but a Yasuo spawning with 3 items would be pretty damn overpowered. Just like people used to say if Amumu could spawn at level 16 with 3 tank items, he'd be pretty overpowered.
Yeah, and if I ever saw my solo queue game with a Yasuo with no numbers in the middle column at 26 minutes into the game, I'd wonder what the heck happened.
Well, I'd know what happened. He'd have
AFK.
He'd have 0 CS and not have played the game.
Yeah, that's true.
So this is the rarely seen competitive 27 minutes no kill involvement Yasuo.
I thought it was a myth.
We'll learn something today, Atlas.
Indeed. Well, I've learned that Kramer has a lot of items. Infinity Edge completed item number 3. He's gone pretty classic when it comes to the build. But man, he's going to be dishing out the damage, and they're looking to try and demonstrate that on the target dummy that's big and purple. A lot of mouths.
A lot of spot checks from the side of Griffin. They may not have the Vision of Empires. They have 2 Hawkshot charges and a blue trinket on their AD carry, blue trinket onto the Orianna as well. So very difficult for this Vision control to be fully cemented. Torwart actually going to be moved off the pit.
Still vying for control around this map is what it feels like, Papa. It feels like both Afreeca Freecs and Griffin, they've both found their stride in their own instances, but still yet to feel like they're the ones in control. Keen especially, like you say, looking for the Infinity Edge. Clear out this minion wave very easily as the back on Vision for Sword is going to be cancelled. He's got 2 items that he's very comfortable with, and Keen offering him a lot of respect.
But I just think that changes at the drop of a hat. It's not a matchup that is just Yasuo wins at all points. Very item timing dependent. Now, can theoretically build fairly tanky, but don't often find a lot of advantage around there. And if you have no Vision and then Frozen Mallet slow starts and someone's there, well, you just die as the Yasuo. But Infinity Edge will warp that one pretty heavily. Again, the game may be 2-2, 0-0-0 Yasuo at Infinity Edge, 3rd item territory. Kramer pushes up and top. The defensive vision is pretty good from the side of Griffin. Once again, it's about the posture. We're back to tactical posturing in game number 5.
But we're back to talking about item spikes, item timings, and things that are different about this one. It was Oblivion Orb straight into Rabbidan's Deathcap from Chovy. He's hit a huge spike right now on this Orianna. Griffin are pretty happy to fight as they've got a stopwatch and QSS done for Viper at the same time.
Probably the person most likely to die is Gragas, because it's AP Gragas with pretty low health or tankiness, just a couple of Kindle gems in the build. So we'll go down.
Available as well, would help him stay alive for a little bit of time.
Baron started. To the knowledge of Griffin, this is a blue buff timing again by Afreeca Freecs. They know that Chovy's on blue.
We're just going to get the damage onto it. Tucson is taken down relatively low, but he'll be okay.
Chovy actually stopped killing the blue because he was so worried about the Baron being continued on, but he's returned to it. We'll get the blue buff after all. Sort of timer where you now know at 40 minutes, sorry, 34 minutes, 30-ish, the blue buff will be started again.
Another Infernal Drake available here as well. 1 minute to go on that one as Kuro, arrow flies forward, but the flash from Kuro is going to be good. The ultimate to come down. They really want to lock down the Zoe. They will do it as Lahens grabs that kill. Just everyone piling on Sword, even teleporting, no, just moving over for the flank. Kept Keen out of there.
And now must be Baron setup time for Griffin. That was a well-coordinated pick. They had deep vision over the wall that Zoe couldn't respect. Tried to flash the arrow. Was still followed up on and comboed after all. So Griffin pull away. Not strong enough to start the Baron just yet, but definitely a signal of intent. Because Kuro, damn is a Zoe annoying with her summoners up. With no summoners, she can be taken down if Tahm Kench isn't in a back pocket.
Yeah, not as much of a problem anymore. Keen still has to be respected. He's very close to that Infinity Edge. We've got an extra zeal coming in for Kramer as well. I think he's almost on that 100% crit as now the flash has to be used from Tucson again to get him out of the way. Chains of Corruption fly forward, but that's just disengage from the Afreeca Freecs as Griffin are bloodthirsty. They are ready to fight Afreeca at any turn.
They're back again.
Yeah, looking for even more as that pillar is in a great position. They would have wished for another shockwave, but no, it's not going to be there. Tarzan as well. No stopwatch available anymore, and he's going to get taken down. Sword almost gets pushed back into the team as Keen look for the knockup, doesn't get it, gets pounded against the wall, and Griffin capitalize on over-aggression. Kuro turns up yet again. He's got the Zhonya's that he can sit on, that he pilfered for himself, and so many flashes on the ground, but Afreeca Freecs can't get there.
That was a sick play coming through with the flash away from the Yasuo. He thought he would guarantee his own knockup. Wasn't able to get it. Chovy flashes away. They get the counter kill, but they're still on the patrol for more.
Yeah, everyone's still looking for more. No one can take a breath. Infernal Drake has finally spawned, but Griffin not going to let them have that one for Freeze. The arrow flashed out of the way up from Kuro, but Tucson still has to eat up Kramer, who was on the receiving end. In goes Sword. Dragon does get taken down by the Afreeca Freecs, and Kramer has got so much damage. What the hell is that, Viper? The positioning, not great, but he does get himself over that wall. Low health bars here for the Afreeca Freecs. They're the ones that get the Dragon, and somehow Viper survive.
They had the shockwave. They thought they'd get it. Oh my God! That is a half second away from potentially just getting them a free Baron and going to Worlds, Atlas. That is a VOD you watch if you end up losing this game and you were tilted for once as the Zoe player.
Let's have a look at this one again. This was a tale of inches.
So it's all about focus. Tucson doesn't have flash. They try to take him down very early. Sword thinks he can get Mega Gnar and come in. He doesn't get there as Mega Gnar was on cooldown. The reason Viper goes on the pit is almost to be a conduit for Chovy and to finish off the low health members. They're not there. Nobody goes down. The Ashe can teleport in. What happens here?
Yeah, Afreeca back on the Baron. All 5 members in the pit at the moment as Sword doesn't get the hop in there, but it is going to be taken by Spirit. Baron locked down. Can Griffin punish them in this position, though, is the question. And the answer looks like no. Spirit even able to dodge out of the way of the Boomerang. Chains of Corruption, and Tucson sacrifices himself for the good of the colony. Might be able to get more for it as Viper is the one that locks down that kill. Sword looking for him. Spirit, oh, that feels real bad. Wallop's going to miss, but who cares? He gets slapped in the face, and the fat man dies. 2 dead. Baron buff secured by Afreeca Freecs.
Couldn't see the setup there to know exactly how Afreeca diagnosed that it was safe Baron timing, but ended up being correct on that. They lose 2 members. Neither of them are super consequential Barons. You still have Teleport Yasuo with the Baron buff, and Kuro and Kramer can duo for a lot of effect, but this does delay the time at which you have 3 lanes pushed up and a Baron buff with Zoe and Varus. That is the sort of thing that's the stuff of nightmares to try to stop. In this case, it's probably going to be with much less Baron buff duration than 3 minutes.
Yeah, thankfully being able to grab those couple of picks does mean that they bought themselves some time. Now Kuro with the Banshee's Veil, more difficult to lock down now for Griffin, who had been focusing Kuro a little bit in these fights. I'm looking at Kramer, though. He's at 4.5 items, plus his boots. Varus very, very close to full build. He's going to be doing so much consistent damage in these fights, and it's going to take so much pressure off Keen, who also now needs to be respected as Griffin.
They don't know which brushes they're in.
Yep, Spirit's going to move in as well as Arrow. Oh, just barely misses. Tucson once again with the Devour. This is why Tahm Kench's permaban status, as Spirit can't even steal the red buff with the explosive cast.
We got the most honest hitboxes ever in this LCK 5th game semifinal. Ashe Arrow hits everyone normally, but goes wide there. This is against Baron buff, so Griffin are way out of position.
Yep, and the inner turret is going to go down. Can they continue pushing is the real question. As in goes Kuro. Okay, everyone just jumping on top of one another. Lehens with the stand behind me, but Kramer commits to taking down the turret, and another Devour is going to be there. Can you guys wait for the 24-second cooldown? As now he's utilizing a whole host of his buttons, but he goes Sword with the Mega Gnar in the back line. It's not going to be enough, though, as they lose their jungler. Kuro dashing forward. Chovy so incredibly low. Lehens with the stand behind me. Chovy keeping himself alive through the Ignite with his Command Protect. But a whole number of their buttons are now on cooldown, and they can't protect this inhibitor as Zoe things are happening across the rift, and Lehens has to cleanse to get his way out of it.
Game will not end there. Keen could not find a last breath the entire time. We've had Blue Blades with the Draven before. We got bated breath today with the Yasuo. Just can't find the connection to actually get the maximum damage out of the kit and close this game. In hindsight, they might have won the game if they got a 4 or 5 for 3 trade there on the side of Afreeca Freecs. The game continues. Chovy knows that if he could get one of these shockwaves that are oh so close to hitting, the game could end.
Yeah, and I was waiting for last breaths for shockwaves that entire team fight. It was Sword that had to come through clutch with the big Gnar into the wall, but otherwise, a lot of the abilities going begging. There's still more that both of these teams can give us in these team fights. 2 Drakes apiece. Next one is going to be the Elder Dragon.
If you could have told Griffin before the season started that they would be at 36 minutes into a Game 5 of the semifinal of the LCK within 5,000 gold, they wouldn't have believed you. They are a team that is very proud, but this is a very different scenario. That was, I believe, a defensive teleport there. I couldn't tell. Yeah. Regardless, they still feel like they can win it. Griffin said they were scrimming for Worlds before they even got into LCK. Let's see how those scrims are going. Close to doing it here, but Afreeca Freecs know one more team fight, the game could end.
Yeah, they also have to deal with Kuro Zoe, who's in a great position at this particular point in the game. Wave clear, certainly there on the side of Griffin, but this siege is exactly what the Afreeca Freecs want to do. They're going to be able to take down the inner turret on the bottom side of the map. No Baron necessary.
Spirit knows that if he just stops Sword from getting in, it stops one of these 3 to 4 man Gnar he's been able to pull off a couple of times in a row. Kind of the ambition role of stopping a flanker rather than looking for a proactive play on the Gragas yourself. Watching the replay here, wow, we had to have a very fast camera movement there. Well done, OGN Observer.
Yeah, really nicely done.
That was a Predator gank in terms of observation.
But Chains of Corruption are now going to be on cooldown, and the flash on cooldown here for Sword, which is very important. Kane wants to take down this Elder Drake. Remember, all the pressure is available for the Afreeca Freecs, and they've only got 2 members down here. Teleport going to be utilized to get Tucson in there. The slow onto Tarzan. He's not going to make it into this pit. As there's the explosive cast. Tucson once again just tanking for his team. Grey Health going to be eating up so much shield available. And now the Afreeca Freecs want the fight. No paddle star to land. And now everyone's inside the pit. Somehow the shockwave only lands onto Spirit. But that's still the first pick in this fight. Windwall is fantastic. Tucson flashes to get out of the way. And Kuro now with so much damage available, but doesn't actually lock it down. The body blocking from Griffin. Everyone's still alive.
The little moments are so insane at the end of these fights. So much value out of the wind wall. The bait onto the Gnar coming through on Sword. Would have flashed out if he could. Didn't even have the flash. Goro still looking for exit kills. The generous range on the Trouble Bubbles. They back away. The game state does not change, but there is that Elder onto the side of Afreeca Freecs.
And you were talking about bated breath. My God, every one of these fights is so close to being a catastrophe for both teams, but it's just not happening. Everyone outplaying everyone. Have a look at this. It was so close. Knife's edge stuff.
Will there ever be a Yasuo ult is a question we're asking. We're watching the replay here. Chovy has so much AP. They're able to get Kuro's poke down and then just go through the middle, which is the big move here for Griffin. But at the end, Keen flashes over. Tucson flashing after the Gnar. Look at the exit kills possible here on another day. Varus gets a random triple kill.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. We extend to 40 minutes. The Gathering Storm procs come in. The series continues.
And the Guardian Angel now completed for Kane. As these items keep flowing forward, you've got Viper. He's almost caught up to Kramer, who had a gigantic lead earlier on.
Well, he got an assist from the 19 damage Braum here. Otherwise, it would have been a sad time for Yasuo.
Oh, God.
The thing is, it may be one of those scenarios where because he hasn't done damage for so long, you forget how much damage this Yasuo can do. Because we're waiting for the first Last Breath Gragas combo. It's supposed to be easy.
Well, Arrow's going to predict the body slam as there's the flash into the Devour, but has Tucson just thrown himself to his death? He has, as Chovy locks down the kill on the Tahm Kench. Baron available here for Griffin. They want to take this. That is a huge portion of the Afreeca comp missing. The Devour is so important.
Watching the turn here, Keen.
Yeah, Windwall is available for him, though. That keeps him alive through so much of what Griffin were throwing out. Want to be able to get
we know that
an advantage.
Mid lane inhibitors respawning in 10 seconds. Here's Sword.
Yeah, jumping forward, doesn't have the flash. Remember, going to push Keen back. Immediately uses his stopwatch, but the exhaust doesn't do anything. He's still got GA, and now Kuro flashing forward. So much damage available. As you were saying, we could forget what Keen's capable of. We had a taste of it just there, but no one going to die. No one going to get trouble bubbled, and again, we're on a knife's edge.
Cleanse flashed out of the Last Breath. This is still bated breath coming through from Keen. We're not even talking flash here. They know the back
Kuro, has he just won them the game? Paddle Star lands. It's going to get the GA out of the Ash. Could be a massive deal as we've got everything landing now from the Afreeca Freecs. Lahens teleporting in. Afreeca Freecs want to be able to find this Baron.
But it probably has to be. How can Griffin stop it?
Not entirely sure, Papa. Chovy's moving over. Tarzan has barely
a one-way trip.
He has the flash in. He doesn't get it. As Tarzan gets so much back from the King. 4-man shockwave as cannot do anything to answer. And Griffin, they may have just won the game off the back of Chovy. That's the double kill. Tucson, he's looking for more, and there's the triple. Chovy, the 17-year-old, the youngest man in the LCK, may have just brought Griffin to the grand final of the LCK.
Can they end? It's so close. Kuro needs to find some picks.
Trouble bubble is going to land. Tucson, he's available. Kuro, does he have the wave clear? I think the safe answer is no. There's so much damage available from Griffin. Base now broken on the other side of the map. As the inhibitor is going to get taken down, they want to push for the win. The death timers, are they going to be long enough here to get Afreeca back into it? Oh God, Griffin, the Royal Road is still on. Game number 5, Nexus to be taken down, and on the back of Chovy, they've brought themselves to the LCK final.
Amazing.